Hello, everyone. How you all doing? Thank you for joining. It's yoga time, but this time it's seated yoga, as in on the floor. We do chair yoga as well, which is at different times, but we've been doing that for the last 3 weeks. So look out on the schedule for chair yoga. There's also some really lovely other classes, Pilates. There's kind of some really good fitness classes with Andy. He's also from Leicester, so shout out to another Leicester boy. Max does some really nice guided meditations. So there's so much stuff, right? And then all the other stuff, right? Loads of stuff. I've seen it all. It's all on catch up. So check it out. The Virtual Village Hall has been going now nearly 5 years. I think it's nearly 5 years. And it's such an amazing idea, right? And it's still going. So thank you for joining. If you've done yoga with me before, you'll probably know what to expect. And if you've not, welcome, a wholehearted welcome. And leave all your preconceptions at the door. Is that the right word? I'm not sure. It sounded wrong. But leave them at the door, whatever I just said. And yeah, come with an open mind. Because yoga can be for everyone. And if you do struggle in this class because it's hard to get on the floor, number one, you can do some of the movements we're going to do and some of the breath work we're going to do in a chair. So feel free to join me in a chair for a lot of this stuff. And then also you can join my chair yoga class where we look at all of the same postures, but sitting on a chair. It's magic, right? It's magic. One of the beautiful things about yoga, I find, is the mental benefits of it, right? It kind of calms us, right? It sends us into a different place. So I'm saying that because I'm experiencing a little bit of frustration at the moment with someone. And I've just sent an email like this. And then I got ChatGPT to kind of calm it down a little bit. Can you make this softer? Yeah, I'll make it softer. Technology, right? In some ways, it's really good. But do you know what I was thinking? I was thinking, I need to do some yoga. So luckily, this is where I am. And I'm with you, beautiful people, up and down the country. So we're going to do some yoga. We're going to start nice and gentle. As I say, if you want to sit in a chair, go for it. If you want to sit with your back against the wall, go for it. If you want to join me on a mat, that's an option as well. And we're going to start with some light movement seated. We'll probably spend quite a bit of the time today seated. So a chair is a very good option. It's not a chair yoga class, remember though, but I'll give you some little options. And we'll then do a little bit of flow. You're looking at me like, this man's making this up. I'm not making it up, honestly. I am a professional. Get yourself a drink. Make sure you're warm enough, even though the weather has been beautiful the last few days, especially here in the East Midlands. And Irene's here and Jackie's here. Lovely to have you guys along. I'm going to go back there on my mat and I'm going to sit on something. So if you've got a cushion or a pillow, a blanket, anything nice like that, grab one of those things. Make your seat as comfortable as you can. You know, that idea of building a throne. You don't want to sit on the floor and sort of feel uncomfortable, because then you've already defeated your practice, right? You're sitting there feeling a bit miserable going, yoga, it's not really for me because I don't feel great sat on the floor. So build yourself a throne or sit in a chair. Hi to Sue. Thank you for joining, Sue. All right, I'm going to go back here. Should we put a light on? Oh yeah, that's nice. And I might have told you before, this wallpaper here, which was done last year, was done by one of my other yoga students. He's called Ian, and he's a very talented man and a very lovely man as well. So you can see I'm sat on a bolster. Just raises my hips up a little bit. It makes it easier for me to sit on the floor. It's not the easiest thing for me to do, believe it or not. And then I'll have a little wriggle around, kind of work out how everything feels. Left shin's in front. Maybe I'll bring my right shin in front because I always bring my left shin in front. So try not to get into those habits. Not that they're bad, but sometimes, you know, we get into a habit where I always bring my left shin in front and then probably I sit with my left shin in front a little bit too much. I get a slight imbalance in my hips. Okay, let's do this. Let's take an inhale. Remember what we were talking about in chair yoga, if you join me, about bringing the arms over the head. We might have done it in my seated yoga as well. So when we inhale and bring the hands up, the palms are facing down, and then we get to the shoulders, we flip the palms up, and then we continue to bring them up, okay? As you exhale, the palms face up. You get to the shoulders, you flip the hands down, and then you come all the way down. This is just making sure that you raise your arms in a safe way. So you're not impinging your shoulders, you're not straining into your, what are these things called at the front? They're called something. Rotator cuffs. These part of the shoulders, they kind of rotate the shoulders forwards and backwards. Okay, so let's just get into this movement. Palms down, root your fingertips down into the earth. If you're doing it in a chair, you're in a good spot. Maybe close the eyes, focus in between the eyes or the crown of the head. Take an inhale, sweep the arms up. Flip the palms when they get to the shoulders, keep the inhale coming. Maybe the palms touch, or you can have a little gap in between, and then exhale, bring the hands down. My palms are facing up, I get to my shoulders, I flip them down, and they come all the way down. This is a revelation to me. I've never done this like this until a few weeks ago. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Flip the palms. Exhale, bring the hands down. Flip the palms down. Come all the way down. It feels good, right? Let's do that a few more times. Inhale up. Exhale down. And excuse my shoulders, a little bit wonky, so my arms come up at different speeds and I can't change it. I've tried. And it's like, oh, I just must be a lot tighter in my left shoulder. I don't feel it so much. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. 2 more. Inhale up. Exhale down. And you're breathing in and out through the nose if you're new to classes. If you can. Don't worry about it if you can't. Inhale up. Exhale down. Beautiful. And then bring your hands onto your knees and really lengthen your spine. And then just sit in a little bit of stillness. Notice how that feels. Now the body is still. And then if your eyes are closed, just come with your eyes open. And then you've got an opportunity just to move your legs out. If you're sat on a chair, by the way, have a little shuffle around. Maybe you bring the soles of the feet on the floor. If you're with me, you can just kind of knock the knees a little side to side. I'm still sat on my bolster because it's providing a lovely bit of comfort for me. And then I'm just bringing my legs out and come off my bolster and bring my legs long and give them a little shake. Maybe I want to kind of massage into my legs a little bit. I was kind of running in the woods on Monday and I twisted my ankle a little bit, so I'm feeling that. Not too bad, just a little strain. So maybe kind of roll the ankles. If anyone knows Leicestershire, lovely woods called Swiveland Woods near Bradgate Park. Very nice. All right, and then come back to seated. And then this time I'll have my left shin in front, but you probably, I don't know, you probably will swap over. All right, let's go for that. Inhaling up. And then this time, exhale, twist to the right. So bring your left hand on your right knee and then bring your right hand behind you. If you're in a chair, you just bring your hand onto the back of the chair. For me, I'm just using a little bit of my bolster and then my fingertips, but right on my fingers like this. I'm kind of just pressing my fingertips down and then I can find length in my spine. You see my spine? Beautifully long, isn't it? So every inhale, I find length. And then every exhale, I twist a little more. No need to move the head. Keep the chin in line with your sternum. When you're ready, inhale, bring the hands all the way back up. And then exhale, twist to the opposite side. Bring your breath into the posture. Inhale in and exhale in. One more round of breath. And then when you're ready, come all the way back to center. Beautiful. A little bit of movement through the neck. We usually do this, don't we? So we'll bring the chin down towards your sternum. And then just rock your chin a little side to side. Now we'll do 3 things with the head today. So I want you to start really slowly. Don't feel like, oh, I'm a bit bored here, so I'll just go into something a little bit more expansive. Start slowly. And, you know, make sure your jaw's nice and relaxed. A little gap in between the teeth. And then from here, you might make the movements a little bit bigger. So you can begin to maybe circle your head out. Inhale up. And exhale as the chin falls down. And then when you're ready, just come back the other way. I love to match this movement with breath. I inhale up, I exhale down. Nice. And then the final thing we'll do with the head, inhale the head all the way back to center. Take a full exhale. Check in with your posture, your spine. You're sat in a chair or you're with me on the floor. Make sure your spine is long. You know, we're thinking about alignment. So the shoulders start right over the hips, you know. So you're not sort of doing this kind of thing, you know, where everything's a little slack. You're doing this, you're drawing length in, but you're not too rigid, right? It doesn't take too much effort. You might feel that in your lower spine, but we're trying to find that alignment. Your body gets used to it. Okay, this last movement through the head. Inhale your head to the left. Exhale your head to the right. Inhale left. Exhale right. A few more times. They might be that you get to one side and you think, oh, that feels juicy. I'll stay here for a little bit without pushing it. Remember, reasonable effort. And the breath is everything, right, in yoga. It's so important that we breathe as we move. When you're ready, inhale, come back to center. Take a full exhale. Now bring the hands so the palms are up if they weren't already, and see if you can do this. Not too hard. Bring the thumb and the forefinger together. So it's like that Gyan Mudra or Chin Mudra. And you create this little energetic seal. And even if you think that sounds really odd, just feel the texture of your thumb and your finger. And what I do sometimes, I just kind of rub my finger and my thumb just really gently, and it creates that little bit of sensation. And then what we're going to do from here is we're going to stay seated. So if you do need to move, feel free to move, have a little shuffle around at this point. And then I'm going to be quiet. It's hard for me to be quiet. And then we're going to stay for just a little bit over 2 minutes. So if you need to move, or if you need to bring yourself into a more comfortable position. And then what I want you to do is just check in with your experience. Don't judge it. Maybe the eyes are closed or the gaze is soft, but try not to kind of think too much here. Draw your attention inwards. Just under 1 minute to go. And when you're ready, very gently, slowly, like bring your awareness back to your thumb and your forefinger. And then if your eyes are closed, come with your eyes open. And just check in. How do you feel now? I told you at the start of the class where I was feeling a little distracted by the trials and tribulations of my life. But when I sit and I find a little bit of quiet time, everything settles. Doesn't mean that it disappears and I'm trying to kind of, what's the word? Just kind of ignore it, right? I'm not trying to ignore it, but I'm detaching from the drama of it all, right? Because underneath it, underneath everything that we do in our lives, I firmly believe that we have this kind of like purity in us. And I always think of it as this space in my heart. People find it in different areas, but I always think about my heart space, my loving space, right? And then I think, if I strip away all of my conditioning, the way I was brought up, the good, the bad, the indifferent, all of my thought processes, it's just kind of attachments, right? And we have to live that way, right? We're formed that way. I'm not saying that we all just kind of wander off into the woods and kind of, be hippies, even though that's a nice thing to do as well. But our attachments kind of, they inform everything that we do. So yoga gives us a little bit of space from that, even if it's for this 45 minutes that we practice together. And it's not about, we've got to be really strong and flexible. It's about calming the mind. Remember the Yoga Sutras that were written by Patanjali thousands of years ago. The first Yoga Sutra said, and now yoga. So we start. And the second Yoga Sutra is, yoga is the calming of the fluctuations of the mind, or the chitta-vritti, the kind of the whirlpooling of the mind. The mind is playing havoc, right? And it's the calming of the mind, the monkey mind, jumping from one thing to another, thoughts, ideas. I can't live in the moment, right? I'm thinking about the past, I'm thinking about the future. This is all we've got. And it's beautiful, right? This is all we've got. Okay. All right. Let's move on to all fours. You might be thinking, Dave, we've got it all sorted, mate. It's only you that sounds like you've got a problem. Well, we're all human, right? Okay, come on to all fours. Now we can have a nice stretch about, right? We can really get into the physical body. Even though I've just said it's not about strength, it's not about flexibility. It's nice to kind of work into the body. So let's move through cat-cow. Soften the tops of the feet down onto the floor. Spine is nice and neutral. Inhale, drop your belly down. Lift your head, lift your heart. Exhale, round your beautiful spine. Like that, right? Big rounded. Inhale forward. Drop the belly down. Spine elongates. Head and the heart lift. And then exhale around your spine. And think about that space in between your shoulders. Inhale and exhale. So I just let you get into a rhythm that works for you. It might be super slow. It might be a little bit quicker. Couple more. And then inhale, come back to center. Split the knees a little bit wider. or as wide as your mat if you can. And remember, pad yourself out here. Remember, if you're doing this on a chair, soles of the feet on the floor, forward fold, maybe a blanket on your legs, and you just bring your forehead down, or you can do this on the floor or on a chair. You can bring your hands onto your head onto your hands like this. So don't feel like you have to kind of muscle yourself down onto the floor. The idea here is that we find this protective shape, and then we breathe really deeply. Think about your whole lung as a body. No, your whole body as a lung. The other way around. And think about your back body. So think all the way down to your 10th rib. That's where your lungs go on your back body. So you've got loads of room to breathe into this space, right? So take advantage of it. Maybe exhale. Release the unnecessary. A couple more like that. One more. And then when you're ready, slowly bring yourself back to all fours. Very familiar, but step your right leg back. And then press into your right toes. And then just have a little rock backwards and forwards. Be really, really gentle with your hands. You know, if this feels way too much on your wrists, you can always do this, right? So you make fists, and then that takes the strain out of the wrists, okay? So this is an option. So we adapt the poses. Nice. All right, turn the toes, right toes, to the long right edge of your mat. So you turn the toes out, bring your left hand in the center of your mat, and then inhale your right arm up. So just a nice stretch here. I'm going to adjust my t-shirt and just reach up. If it feels too much with the arm, bring it onto your hip. This is beautiful, right? If you bring it onto your hip, you can think about this right shoulder and really roll it back. You know, we don't have to do loads and loads of different postures here. We're just experimenting, right? Press into the outer edge of the right foot. Breathe space down this right-hand side of your body. You can lift the arm if you want. Your choice. So this is adapted side plank. Remember someone said to you, what did you do today? I did side plank. Now, you can be playful here, right? You can lift the right leg up. Wow. But you might not. But give it a go. If you feel stable, you can lift it for a little bit of time. You can maybe bend into the leg a little. You can always grab it. I won't. Nice. And then we'll meet everybody back down here. As you exhale, bring the right hand down. Come back to all fours, and then we'll just swap that out to the other side. So I'm going to have my back to you. So left toes are nice and long, or the left toes are down, and the leg is nice and long. Remember, you can come onto the fists. That's a really good option. Building this nice strength through the arms, shoulders. A little bit of core strength going on. And then what you might do here is just turn the toes to the long left edge of your mat. And then before you move, think about the outer and the inner edge of your foot. So you'll probably just roll onto the inner edge of that arch, press into the outer edge of the foot. And then what that does, it kind of zips the leg up. You can inhale left arm up, or maybe you join me and just bring the left arm or the left hand onto the left hip. And then I'm thinking about my left shoulder and I'm rolling it back. My head, it ain't doing a huge amount. You know, I can just let it be loose. And then if you want to do that little balance, what I do is I just adjust this right foot. Okay, so you can see my right foot moving here. What I do is I adjust it. So I step it in a little bit and I roll onto the outer edge of that right leg. Gives me a little bit more balance. And then I can lift the left leg up. But I'm just looking at one spot, Ian's beautiful wallpaper. I'm looking at a golden twig. Take one more round of breath. Exhale, let's join everyone else. Come back to center. And then from here, just even everything up. So move through cat-cow. Inhale, drop your belly down, lift your head, lift your heart. Exhale, round your spine. Two more like that. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale forward. And exhale to round. Inhale, come back to a neutral spine. And then we're going to come into melting heart pose. So you'll keep your hips nice and high. So maybe you look down at your knees and your hips. Keep them like that. Walk your hands forward. Maybe keep the arms lifted, but certainly bring the forehead down. Don't do this where the forehead floats. So you might stack it on a cushion or a pillow or a blanket. Some people do this and they have their arms folded and they'll place their head on their arms. So you can see the difference between this and child's pose. Child's pose, the sit bones go back towards the heels. Melting heart pose, the heart center melts down, and you can see I've got a little bit more flex in my shoulders. Not a huge amount. It's not like I'm Mr. Flexible, Mr. Bendy, but my heart space just falls down towards the floor. Now this is a mid and upper back and shoulder stretch. Make sure your head feels supported, your back of the neck, no strain. Remember, reasonable effort. And then just breathe here. I'll be quiet for a few breaths. Nice deep inhales, full exhales. Two more rounds of breath. And then when you're ready, walk the hands back. Very slowly come all the way back onto all fours. And then familiar, move through cat-cow. Just to kind of free the spine up. Do that very, very gently. And I should say, if you're with me on all fours here, and the knees give you a little bit of pain, or maybe you just think, I can't get here, then you can do lots of things. You can kind of stack the knees out on blankets or cushions. You can also buy some really nice kind of gel pads for the knees. I know a lot of people who use them. Or if it just feels way too much down here on all fours, then join me for my chair yoga, because that's one of the main advantages. We don't need to use the knees there. All right. Inhale, come all the way back to center. And then exhale, we'll tuck our toes and come into downward facing dog. We won't do a huge amount here, but maybe come into down dog with me. Bend the knees, lengthen the spine, let the head be nice and loose. You don't feel like the legs need to be straight. In fact, anything, bend the knees, and then you can lengthen your spine. All right, from here, let's do this. Let's walk our hands back towards our feet. And then what I want us to do is just draw the hands. Can you still see me? Yes. Draw the hands up all the way onto the upper thighs, ear. So this is a half forward fold. Don't feel like you need to come into a forward fold, even if it's very familiar to you. Rock the weight into the toes, bend the knees a little more. And then you're thinking about lengthening your spine. So when we do sun salutations, we talk about coming to this halfway lift. So my spine's pretty long there, right? It's good enough. If I try and kind of come into a forward fold too early, my spine will round, I'll put too much pressure on my hamstrings and I'll compress my spine. No one wants to do that, right? Now, if you want to, you can bend a little further into the knees and then bring the hands down. So you fold a little more at the waist. And if that feels a reasonable thing to do, maybe rock around a little side to side. Sides of the feet, heels, toes, insides of the feet. Loads of stuff you can do here, right? Just play around with your pose. Don't feel like it needs to be a certain thing. Maybe you hold on to the shins, the backs of the calves. Hands can be on the floor. We have loads of time here to lengthen the backs of our legs. And then when you're ready, with the hands just dangling, roll all the way up wherever you found yourself and come to stand. Whew, beautiful. And then find yourself at the back of your mat. Walk your feet in a little bit, but look at your mat if you're using one. And then line your feet up with the long edges of your mat. So these are alignment points. So this is Tadasana, palms face forward. And let's just come back to a little bit of stillness. Back of the neck is nice and long. Breathing in, breathing out. Beautiful, nice. And then when you're ready, what we'll do is we'll just walk to the top of our mats. I'm going to grab my cup of chai before I go there. So grab a drink if you need to. Come to the top of your mat. Rearrange your feet so you're back in Tadasana. This is the foundational pose that we keep coming back to. And then when you're ready, sweep your arms up. Maybe the palms face down, they get to the shoulders, the palms come up. Exhale, bring the hands down, and then come back into that forward fold. Now, it might be a half forward fold like this, or it might be a full forward fold like this. When you're ready, inhale, come back to a half forward fold and meet the people that stayed here. And then exhale, let's come into a plank. So one foot back, then the other. And what I'd like you to do in plank, you arrive probably sort of high, and then you press into the outer edges of your feet, and you're in plank. So it might be a very familiar posture. You might always come into with the knees down, or you might have the knees lifted. It's your choice. Press into the outer edges of the feet if the knees are lifted. Settle down if the knees are down. And then take one more deep inhale. And then as you exhale, what I'd like you to do, let's all do it. Let's drop our knees, but have a quick look at your inside of your elbows. So a little bit of alignment today. So you can do this, right? You can just rotate the elbows forward and back. So there's an internal movement of the shoulders. You see that? I'm just moving my arms. So the creases, the inside of my elbows, not my shoulders, but it is shoulders as well. But I'm looking down at the inside of my elbows, and then they kind of rotate forward. So when I get my elbows rotating somewhat forward, that will give me the space to then lower to the floor. So the elbows just trap back, and then I'm building a tremendous amount of strength through my torso and my arms. Press into the outer edge of the feet, take an inhale, and then come into cobra. Keep the elbows tucked in, and then exhale, tuck the toes under and come back to all fours. All right, back in all fours. Let's just look at that a few more times. Move through cat-cow when you get here. Free everything up. Maybe some nice hip circles. And then we'll do that again. You know, if I've got my arms externally rotated, so we'll do the opposite. Do the opposite to what I was just doing. So we internally rotate, so the creases of the elbows face towards the top of our mat. But what if we go the other way without pushing it, right? Now, if I try and lower, I can't do it, right? I just look at my elbows, they're going right out. It's impossible for me to get down. So we can see what we can do here to make these things easier. So internally rotate the elbows, and then when you're ready, you just lower down to the floor. You get that space and alignment. All right. Inhale into cobra. Keep the elbows tucked in. And then exhale, tuck the toes. Come back to all fours. Move through cat-cow or a variation of cat-cow. Nice. And then what we're going to do is just sit back onto our heels very gently. If you can't do this, then what I'd like you to do is come on to Sukhasana. So your legs across, and then just give your legs and your arms, not your legs, your arms a little shake out. Not your legs. Don't shake your legs. Shake your arms. Give them a little shake. Bring your arms out. Make fists. And then rotate the fists in one direction. And then come back in the other direction. So you keep the arms nice and long. So this is really good for kind of building strength, flexibility through the wrists. You know, we use the hands a lot, right? So we don't want to strain them. And then what I'd like us to do is just bring the right hand out and use the left fingers just to pull the right fingers back just a little bit. Feel that stretch, and then swap it out. Come to the other side. Feel that stretch. Hands back down onto the thighs or the knees if you're sat cross-legged. Inhale the shoulders up, exhale down. And you can hear my breath. My breath is quite active. So we're just freeing everything up. Nice. And then bring the shoulders down, give them a little shake, maybe roll them forwards, backwards. It's quite heavy, right? You know, when we're lowering down to the floor like that, it can be quite heavy on the shoulders. Come back to all fours. Tuck your toes under. Come back into downward facing dog. So when you're ready, you might want to give your legs a little stretch before you do it. And then eventually lift your hips and come into downward facing dog. So I can't even remember how many we've done. Is this just the second one? Probably. Breathe it out. And then the same thing again. We'll walk our hands back towards our feet, nice and gently, soften the heels down towards the floor. Take an inhale, come back to that halfway lift or half forward fold. Lengthen your spine. It's perfectly reasonable to bend the knees here, right? Don't feel like you've got to, I don't know, find a version of the posture that you think will enlighten you. It's just about working with what you've got, and then we celebrate what we've got. All right, root down through the feet, walk the hands up the thighs, come all the way to stand. Come into the center of your mat when you're ready. Grab a little drink if you need one. And you might have heard me say it before, but advanced yoga, what's advanced yoga? People think, oh, you know, it's walking around on your hands or being able to put your, you know, your knee around your head or whatever. Advanced yoga is coming into the posture that's right for you today, right? Because that means that you're honoring your body. And we kind of think these things, don't we, where we're like, oh, if only I could do this or only if I could do that. And they're quite nice, right? They're good, they're fun. I like doing headstands, right? I love headstands, but I like the feeling that it gives me, but it doesn't make me a better yogi or a better person. It's just I like doing them, you know? So, you know, all these little targets are okay as long as we don't attach to them too much. Sound like a Buddhist, don't I? Non-attachment. Okay, bring your feet about hip width apart. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to bring your hand onto your heart. Inhale, left arm over towards the left. So you twist, but you keep your feet rooted. Exhale, right arm over to the right. Okay, so inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So you'll find these kind of moves a little bit more in Kundalini yoga, you know, this energetic style of yoga where we call these dynamic postures where we'll kind of use the spine and we'll twist them out. But with the work we've done today, it's nice just to kind of free the arms and the shoulders up a little bit. So these are a little bit more energized. It's the last thing we're going to do, stud. And then we're going to finish with a beautiful Shavasana today. Inhale and exhale as you go. Just a little bit longer. Make sure you don't feel too dizzy here. And again, a really great one to do in the chair. We did it on Tuesday. You know, we sat and we did this. You can do it sat on the floor as well. Twisting open. And then let the arms drop a little. Let them fall down by your side. Lose control. And then you might just kind of knock the backs of the hands onto your glutes. I think some yogis call this knocking on heaven's door. It's quite nice. Give yourself a little massage out the bottom. Again, the glutes can become really tight. Nice. And then come back to center. Take a beautiful deep inhale. Take a full exhale. Nice. Let's come to lie down. A little bit of Shavasana, tiny bit of breath work. You can get on with your day. So come to lie down. Make sure you're warm enough here. We'll do a couple of minutes of Shavasana. What I like to do is just bend my knees in and then I squeeze my knees and I can just feel my spine lengthen and relax. From here, bring the soles of the feet down onto the floor. Stay here in Shavasana if you want with the feet bent. I'm going to stay like this actually. Or you can do this and you can bring the legs down your mat. So your choice, wherever you want to go, or you can be back in a chair, or you can even sit up against the wall and provide some support for your spine. But let everything go and then we'll be quiet or I'll be quiet for a couple of minutes. And then from here, wherever you find yourself, bring a little bit of movement back into your body, fingers and the toes. Maybe have a nice big stretch out. You can bend the knees back in. Maybe a little sigh or yawn. And then roll to one side and come back to a seated position. I'm just going to shuffle forward just a little bit. I'll bring my trusty bolster with me and we'll finish with a little bit of breath work. Tiny bit, just a minute. Find a comfortable position. I've got rosy cheeks. It's the first time I've had rosy cheeks for about 6 months. Welcoming in the spring, right? Okay. Let's do this tiny little bit of alternate nostril breathing. So bring the right hand up towards your nose, block off your right nostril, take a deep inhale through your left nostril. Close off the left with your little finger, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close off right, exhale left. Inhale left. Close off left, exhale right. Inhale right. Close it off, switch, exhale left. One more time, inhale through the left. Switch, exhale right. Inhale through the right. Close it off, switch, exhale left. Beautiful. Bring the right hand down, come back to a nice steady rhythm. And just notice the effects of your practice. Thank yourself for getting onto your mat and for showing up. And then we'll soften our hands to our heart center. What I'd like you to do is just wish yourself well. It's the most important thing. Then wish everybody else well. Probably the second most important thing, but both very important. And maybe bow your head down towards your fingertips. Namaste. Don't you beautiful people? I enjoyed that. Hopefully you got something from it. It's nice and varied. We did this kind of thing, didn't we, with the lowering? We'll probably look at that a little bit more next week. We'll move through some full sun salutations if you fancy. And remember the chair yoga, as I say. Thank you, Irene. It's always nice to have you along. Yeah, remember the chair yoga. Hey, Nikki. Oh, Nikki joined from Canada. Yes. International. Really lovely to have you along, Nikki. Thank you for joining. What else was I going to say? Check out these guys. You're probably joining on Facebook, right? But look at all of the amazing content. Remember, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all of the content's on there. They're putting out content all the time. Support the Virtual Village Hall because they're an amazing organization. And donations go a long way if you have money. You don't have to. This content's for free. All right, everyone, look after yourselves. Have a great weekend. I'm going to the Brecon Beacons in my van. So that should be quite nice. All right. See you later, everyone. Look after yourselves. Bye.